two kits I'm going to go through with you are the Narcissi and Twig kit and the Ruffled Narcissi and Twig Trio kit, I think it's called. Yes, the Narcissi Trio kit and then the Narcissi and Twig kit, I think. So those are the two we'll do first. I've already potted up the Ruffled Narcissi Trio kit here, and I'm going to show you how to do the just the pop one, not the trio. They're both exactly the same, so I thought I'll do one of so that you can see how it looks, and then I'll show you how to do the other one, and then take you step by step through the care and all that kind of thing. So in your kit, as always, you'll have your gravel, your compost, and your two different types of moss. You'll have your birch twigs, dry thyme, and your cherry blossom twigs, and then you will of course have your resin dipped pot, and you will have, if you have ordered the trio, you will have one pot with 3 bulbs, and you put 1 bulb in each of the little pots. And then if you have ordered the Narcissi and Twig kit, which is the larger pot on its own, you will have 2 pots of bulbs, so around 6 to 7 bulbs in total. So to begin with, we add in our gravel. So in your kit, you'll have your gravel and your compost and moss in brown bags, and you just use all the gravel that's in your brown bag. It's all measured out for you. So that goes in at the bottom of the pot. That's just to add drainage. And you then need to add in your compost. Now, I would take the compost to about 1 inch from the top. You can obviously use the compost that's in the actual sort of bulb pots as well. So yeah, about 1 inch from the top. One more. Okay, so that's all level, and it's about that much, I'd say, from the rim of the pot. We're now going to add in our bulbs. So this might seem a bit brutal. I promise it's not. I promise the bulbs are absolutely fine with it. But you take your bulbs out of their plastic pot, eventually. It's a hefty root system, beautiful. And then you simply, being assertive, you don't need to worry, it's not going to damage the roots, they just grow back. You just gently take your bulbs out, and then you're left with individual bulbs. So you'll have 6 in total. If you do it over the pot, actually, you can then add in the compost to your pot. And then the second one. And then if you're doing the trio, you will take your 3 bulbs and you'll have those individually, and those will go into the pots. And now these bulbs are very, very fresh. They came in yesterday, so they are really young. There's not a lot of sort of shoot on them, but as soon as you plant them and bring them indoors somewhere sort of a bit warmer, they will then start to grow. Okay, so you've got your soil, and now your bulbs are ready. So you take your bulbs. If you want to, you can trim the root system off. That's absolutely fine. I like to do sort of a technique where I twist it into the palm of my hand, and you've then made a nest of root system, and then you simply pop that on top of the compost in your pot. So twisting it round or cutting some of the root off. Obviously don't cut all of it off. And then just laying that on top of your compost. I'm pushing it down a little bit. This one's got quite a hefty root underneath, so I'm just sort of trying to bury it a little bit. But the idea is that you want to be able to see the bulb. That's part of the look, it's part of the beauty of this kit. you want to be able to see the sort of papery structure of the bulb amongst the moss, which we'll put in a minute. It just adds to the overall kind of texture of the kit. It also doesn't matter, and it's actually something I quite like, if you see some of the white roots. Again, I just think it adds to the sort of interest in the pot. Okay, so those are now all in. I've done them arranged them in a sort of like a, oh no, what shape? Oh no. I want to say it's a hexagon. Oh, I don't know if that's right. My son was asking me this morning. I think it's a hexagon. I think it's a hexagon. You know, like a shape. Oh no. And then I've got one in the middle. Oh, send me a DM if I've got it wrong. Oh, that's embarrassing, isn't it? I did go to school, I promise. Anyway, evenly space your bulbs out in the pot and then put one in the middle. That's what we're going for. I'm sure it's a hexagon. Anyway, right, so now we're going to add in our moss. So, in your kit you'll have two different types of moss. You'll have your flat moss, which is the kind of like carpet moss, looks like a sort of woodland floor, and then you'll have your bun moss, which is the sort of chunkier moss. Right, so breaking up your moss, you're then just going to tuck it, basically where you see roots or compost, that's where it's going to go. When you have your bun moss, you can take the root system off if you want to. It's just this sort of bit here. You simply just sort of twist and pull. So you're simply tucking your moss in amongst the bulbs. And it's exactly the same for your trio, if that's what you've got. You're just probably more sort of surrounding your bulb with the moss. Okay, so that is pretty much all the moss in. Now, this might sound strange because you've planted your bulbs and then you put your moss on, and now I'm going to tell you to slightly lift your bulbs up. So the purpose of this, you're just going to hold the moss sort of either side and you're just gently going to lift just a tiny bit, give it a little bit of a jiggle, and that's it. Now the reason I do this is because I really do love the look of seeing that kind of lovely bulb over the moss. So it's just, if you want, it doesn't matter, if you want to keep them more hidden, that's absolutely fine. This is purely just what I personally quite like. So you're just holding the moss down and then gently lifting the bulb. The root system will be great, it'll be fine, as long as it's in contact with some kind of sort of moisture. You know, you can plant bulbs in gravel on its own, as long as the roots have got some sort of water source, they're fine. So they will be fine, just lifted up slightly. Okay, so the bulbs are in, the moss is on, and now we move on to our twiggy bits. Okay, so I'm going to start with my birch twigs. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to start with my cherry blossom. So if you have a trio, you will have probably around 9 stems of cherry blossom. If you are using, doing your pot kit, which is this one, you'll have 5. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the purpose of the cherry blossom is just to add, firstly, texture, secondly, aesthetics. In my opinion, I think it looks lovely. And thirdly, it's handy. It's handy when the bulbs get taller and they just need a little bit of support. So don't cut your stems too short because you may find that they are beneficial to your bulbs, to your narcissi flowers and stems when they grow. Now you can trim them down if you want to, if you want them a bit shorter. and you can be quite sort of assertive with it. You just need to push it through the moss. It's not going to damage anything, it's not going to harm any root system. They are really, really robust. I'm now going to add in the birch, which is this kind of sort of twig. Now with this, you can just cut this down using scissors or secateurs, whichever you've got handy. And then again, it's just creating that sort of support structure for when they are taller, and also to create that sort of woodlandy, kind of deep wintry look. And then now lastly, I'm just going to add in the dried thyme. Now the dried thyme is shorter, so this is to be sort of placed closer to where the bulbs are, lower down. Now you can use your fingers for this because it's obviously dried, so it's very sort of snappable. And again, this is just touches for the dried thyme, so I don't want to take away from the kind of fresh green colour of the bulbs. This is a bit more of a kind of flatter, sort of sagey green. So I don't want a lot of it because I really want to focus on that kind of freshness from the bulbs. But it does just add another element to the kits. So I probably just put about 5 little sprigs of that. I might just do one more. Just really little, I mean you probably can't see it against my shirt, but just really little touches. And that is it. So that's all planted up. In terms of care for your Narcissi pot kit or your Narcissi trio, it's very, very simple, really, really easy to look after. You just need to keep it damp. Don't let the bulbs dry out. So make sure you're watering the compost and not just the moss. Because there isn't a drainage hole, there's no need for a saucer, I tend to just hold it under a sort of a tap that's running, and just hold it there for a few 10 seconds and turn the tap off, and that's it. It's super easy. So keep the bulbs damp. You can put them really anywhere you like, but if you put them somewhere as cool as possible and as bright as possible, you're going to develop really strong root systems, which will then develop really strong, sturdy stems. So they're much less likely to flop. You've got your twigs there, so you can wind them around once they've grown, and create that sort of support structure and a really rustic kind of feel. But if you want really nice, sturdy stems, keep them somewhere as cool as possible and as bright as possible. So I wouldn't necessarily put them next to a radiator, that's not ideal. But they're so easy to care for, and they're quite, they're not fussy. You'll be fine really no matter where you put them. So I sort of had in mind for these kits, like a kitchen island or a dining table or a windowsill or a little alcove or a bookshelf, and you just dot them around. So, spread them around your home, style your homes for January in an uplifting and positive way, so you look at it and you see it's growing. We know spring's on the way. It gives us a little bit of positivity and hope. So that is the Narcissi and Twig kit and the Ruffled Narcissi Trio kit.